Hey, good morning, everyone. How's it going? What am I working on now? Well, I'm going to get the Camaro out of the garage so I can turn it around and back it in the garage for when I got to work on it. Also, I'm going to be getting a bench that's going to go along that back wall there, actually from work. It's a pretty long bench, but it's going to probably take up quite a bit of that wall. It's a steel bench, but definitely going to be something that I can use. Yeah, so we're going to get that in there. So basically, I'm going to get this outside for right now, finish cleaning up the floor. I never even cleaned the floor when we first moved in here. I never swept it up, nothing. Just moved all my stuff in. But yeah, so we're going to get this out. I've had the battery on charge for a while, so I'm going to take that off of there. And a lot of people have asked, because maybe you missed the initial video, the reason I'm changing this motor, this is the old school LT1, based on a small block Chevy, basically. The reason I'm changing the motor, engine, motor, whatever, don't get hung up on it. Reason I'm changing it is this thing overheated a few times, and not on me, but when my son was driving it. And I never had it overheat. But me, I have a tendency to beat the snot out of everything, and this thing has 160,000 miles on it. I don't know the history of it. I know my cousin was very gentle on the car, but he got it at probably he probably maybe only put 10,000 miles on it the whole time he owned it. He was always gentle on it, but you don't know how it was treated beforehand. But anyway, when I had it, I over-revved it, and it started knocking. So I'm like, okay, time to do something. I can't stand that motor. I hate those LT1 motors. I can't stand those things. And I'll explain that when I pull it out. But so we're gonna get this thing outside. So let me disconnect everything, and hopefully it'll start. I tried starting it yesterday. I had some issues with it. I couldn't get it to start. Hopefully it'll start today, but let me hook you up into a tripod and we'll go from there. All right. And like I said, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get it outside, and then from there, I'm gonna finish cleaning up the garage. So shut this bad boy down. I've had this battery charger since I think 1989. When I bought it. Hopefully that's enough of a charge. We're about to find out. I was thinking about washing the car before I get it inside, but you know what? Yeah. I'll leave it dirty. I'm okay with that. In case you guys are wondering, this is actually an air compressor. The mounts broke. It's a twin motor compressor with a built-in air conditioner to dry the air coming out of it. So, kind of neat. All right, well, we're going to clean up this garage, and we're going to back that Camaro in. And I think I'm going to favor this side when I do actually come in with it. Excuse me. This way I have that side to walk back and forth in. is going to be good. As you can tell, it's not running very good. Motor's knocking. Here come the grandkids. What's up, Mommy?
Miss you.
Missed you. How are you?
Good.
My grandson just got back from a week away. So anyway, spring break for them. So anyway, I'll run over this again real quick. Used to be my cousin's car. That's the reason I'm keeping it. Or normally I would not keep this car. But the fact, since it was my cousin's car and he passed away, I'm keeping it. I'm never going to get rid of it. So we're going to be LS swapping this. This thing is an LT1 motor, not the LS based or whatever you want to call those motors, but I'm putting a 6-liter in it. And this car is a 6-speed manual. I'm changing this thing to an automatic. Why? Because I want it to be a bracket car. And I want to be able to let the grandkids drive it. And with a stick shift, there's just too much punishment on the drivetrain, stuff like that. So I'd rather it be an automatic. But yeah, these motors, I don't know. There's a lot of weird things about these. These also suck to work on. So now, I'm not sure if you're aware of this. Where the heck is my light? I had a light here somewhere. This is a motor that's going in it. That's a 6-liter. I had a light. Oh, there it is. Now, the reason I decided to go nose in, originally I was going to back it in, but the reason I went nose in is because I'm going to have the bench and everything up here. I have better lighting up here when the doors open. So that's kind of the reason I did that, because I'm going to have my tools up here, everything else. It's just going to be easier. So I just decided to go this way. Plus, this floor is incredibly uneven. Right there, you see that crack? It's dipped right there. It's also, if you look, see the height difference between there and there? But it's weird because it's only on that side. It's not on that side. So I don't know what in the world happened there. But whatever. So I figured it's just going to be easier this way. So now, these LT1 motors, a lot of people don't realize this. I was never a fan of these things. The distributor is actually, I don't even think we can see it. It's actually behind the water pump. Okay? Behind the water pump. That's the water pump right there. You notice there's no belt. It's not an electric pump. A lot of people used to think these were electric pumps. They're not electric pumps. The way they designed this was you have the camshaft. The camshaft actually has a drive that comes through the timing cover. It's got a seal on it. That drive drives the distributor. The distributor has a through hole that has a drive on it, and that drive drives the water pump. Plus, look at trying to change the spark plugs on this thing. You imagine trying to get down in there on that side? It's atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. Oh, there you can see one ignition wire sticking up. That's the coil wire. But yeah, the wires are all the way down there. It's just, it's a nightmare. Now, to pull this motor out, it's got to come out the bottom. You can't fit this thing out through the top. However, I've seen videos where people have actually sawzalled the radiator support and pulled the motor out the front. I'm not doing that, but I'm going to detrim everything on here and see what I can do. Now, also, this is Mrs. Wrenching's car. Technically, it's mine. However, she drove it a few times and she fell in love with driving it. So she keeps calling it her car, so I guess it's her car. So we're going to do all of this for her. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to jack this thing up. I'm going to put it on 4 jack stands as high as I can get this thing so I can work on it underneath, because I got to see exactly how this thing's going to come out, because I really don't know at this point. Maybe there is enough room to get it out through the top. I don't know. I've never seen if there's any YouTube videos out there. I'm assuming there probably is. But maybe there is enough room if I go ahead and pull the radiator and everything else out. I don't know. But I think first steps first, we're going to pull this thing. We're going to get this thing in a slightly better position forward, maybe up to wherever that line is. And Then I'll jack it up because I got to do work on the rear end. I probably got to do work on the fuel tank. That's the other thing too. The fuel tanks on these are mounted here. And they're at an angle like this. Kind of a wonky setup. Plus this is a T-top car, so eventually it's going to have to get a roll cage. But as you see, it is a 6-speed. So now the 6-speed that's in this won't handle that 6-liter. And like I said, I just want consistency, and I want to be able to let the grandkids drive it and stuff like that. But I figured this 6-speed can go into the Hornet. Because the Hornet is going to be kind of a, well, I was hoping to have it as a test mule car with a 401 AMC motor, with a inline 6 4-liter. I'm going to try a 5.3 in it, maybe with a turbo. But this 5-speed should do, I mean, this 6-speed should do pretty good. So, no, let's find out. All right, let's get started. I'm not going to walk you through every step of like jacking it up and everything else, but I'll cover points. All right, let's just get going. All right, so I got the Camaro set up in the garage. There it is up on jack stands. And what I did was I actually started taking the rest of the 6-liter apart. I wasn't going to make a video on anything with it because I already took that other 5.3 apart, you know, the sludge motor. But to my surprise, with this 6-liter, this is all my miscellaneous parts. This has full floating pistons. What's a full floating piston? A full floating piston is a piston that is held to the rod via the pin, and everything floats. It's held together with clips, or those little clips there on the end that hold everything together, instead of the pin being pressed through the rod. These are actually the better rods. So I kind of got lucky there. And the bearings themselves actually look like they're in really good shape, so I'm happy about that. So, and the cam bearings, they look fine, so I'm not worried about that. So, yeah. Yahoo! I'm happy about all of that. Let's see. Oh, the one other thing, which is kind of cool. Once I jack this thing up, I come to realize something, and I'll show you. Okay, so we're laying on the ground underneath the car now, and let me show you something. I had forgotten that my cousin had me do this many years ago. These things do not have upper control arms in the rear. He had me put in this performance lower control arms, that torque arm, and that mount that mounts to these pieces here. Instead of going to the transmission, you can still see the part of the bracket that's still on the transmission itself. Now, the benefit to this system is it's much stronger. I know you're looking at me all weird. It's much stronger than the factory setup. And the other thing too is it actually has, if you can see the rear spring there, it's got airbags in the rear springs. So that's all beneficial for racing, which, like I said, this is going to be a budget bracket car. So there's the 6-speed manual. That's got to come out. So, all right, let me go back up top. So now, besides waiting for parts for that motor, like I said, this is going to be a budget build. I'm not sending it out for anything. Basically putting a cam. The only reason I'm putting those pistons in, the flat top pistons, is I want to raise the compression up. And the reason for that is because I'm using a chop cam. Some of you know what I mean. It's going to be lumpy, so the car idles like pop, 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 pop. I want that. So with the dished pistons that came from the factory, that style is dished, that lowers the compression. So it's basically, the cam manufacturer said you're better off running the flat top piston if you want it to do what you want it to do. So, excuse me. So for now, that's going to pretty much end the video for the day. I'm done for the day. But as I'm working on this thing, I'll probably start nightly and do different things at night. Because like I said, I want to get this motor out. Got to pull the nose off. There's a lot that's got to be done. And obviously, I got fluids and stuff I'm going to have to deal with. But yay me with that. I'm very happy. But yeah, and like I said, the rod bearings look good. I got to look at the crank bearings, but I'm going to pull all the pistons out. I'm going to probably wait until I get the new pistons in. And then the rectangle, I'm going to use rectangle port heads that came on from like a 2015 or 2014, I don't recall, Silverado. Those heads are actually much better than the Cathedral port heads that came on this motor. So that's why I'm using those. I got those for free. So got lucky on that one. It was a junkyard motor, and all they wanted was a core back. And so what I did was, I told them, I said, how much for the heads? Because I'll exchange the heads. Well, they said, well, if you're going to put heads on it, we don't care. It's just a core. So I'm like, okay. So I put Cathedral port heads on it. Got lucky. So, all right. That's going to end it for right now. So this is basically the first video of the Camaro. So, all right. That's about it. Hopefully getting something out of my videos. If you are, hit that like button. If you could, please subscribe. All right, guys, have a great day. Keep wrenching.